Hey, North Albany, it's James Dodge again, bringing your five for faith. So, and Crew's with me. Okay, there's Crew. Okay, he's going to help me. So you'll notice a few things in front of me here, some rocks, and you'll notice I have a backpack on. We're going to do some demonstration for you. The verse we're going to talk about today is 1 Peter 5:7. I'm going to read you three different versions, translations, okay? The first one is going to be the NLT version, which is what I typically read. Give all of your worries and cares to God, for He cares about you. The only difference with the King James version is really, it just says, give all your cares to God. And then the NIV version is, cast all of your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. So we're talking about worries and anxiety. And really, I would lump fear in there, and cares, giving all that to God. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So again, you'll notice a few rocks in front of me, and you'll notice I got a backpack on. I'm taking this example from law enforcement again. I do a lot of training and teaching in law enforcement. But I'm taking this from a common approach that law enforcement and firefighters use when it comes to dealing with trauma, dealing with traumatic events. So this backpack represents, we call it the backpack of trauma. I listen to our chaplain, Dean Aithwaite, give this talk to our new recruits all the time. So I've listened to it a few times, and I've taken a lot out of it, taken a lot from it, and it's really inspired me to talk to you today. So basically what happens in law enforcement and in firefighting is we see trauma. We see trauma every day. Sometimes it's a little thing, sometimes it's a very big thing. Something as simple as, a domestic abuse or just an argument between two people. Sometimes it's, suicides or just death, accidents, car accidents. Sometimes it's, toddlers, babies. It's you run the gamut. We see all kinds of things, right? And it's in both law enforcement and firefighting. So how do we deal with that? Well, we have lots of tools that we talk about in law enforcement, but it's always been kind of pushed to the side that, we're the people taking care of everybody else, but who's taking care of us? And we need to make sure we're doing that. So we have things called peer support. Basically, people that we work with that are on a peer support team and they have certain training. And then we have our chaplain, which is Dean Aithwaite. And then we have our church, right? Our church family. And then most of all, we have God, our relationship with God. So if we don't unload our backpack as we're putting trauma into it, right? These rocks will represent the trauma. As we're putting trauma into our backpack, if we don't deal with that in a healthy way and unload that weight, what ends up happening? Well, I'll tell you, people lead unhealthy lifestyles, whether that's drugs and alcohol abuse. Suicide rate in first responders is really high compared to a lot of other jobs. So if you don't deal with that in a healthy way, that's basically what can happen, right? So how does that relate to us today? Well, we're in a current time of this whole coronavirus thing and the quarantine that's happening and all this craziness going on, and people are losing their jobs, they're losing their lifestyles, they're losing family to death. There's lots of things happening. So how do we deal with that? Well, as the Bible says, give all your worries and cares to God. So much easier said than done, right? It's one of those things that, for me, my first response, quite frankly, is not to get on my knees and pray or even just talk to God. My first response is to get out there and fix it, right? Just figure it out. I'll fix it. I'll just fix it. I want that control, right? It's so hard to just let go and give that control to God, but that's what we're called to do. That's what the Bible says to do. And it's really a simple thing, but not easy to do. So, Crew, can you help me?
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to start putting these things as everyday events that might be happening to us in my backpack, okay? So these rocks have some sayings on them, and some of them might be, the sizes of them might be different for you, right? The rock with worry and fear and late to work might be different for you. So, okay. So, worry, stress, anxiety. I'm late to work. Put that in my backpack. I had an argument with my spouse. That would go in my backpack. Really bad. had a divorce, right? Really, really a sad and traumatic event. I had a divorce, so that would go in my backpack. Can you get that, bud?
Yeah.
Okay. I see something traumatic. I'm on my way home from work, and I see a car crash, and somebody, it was a fail. Somebody died, and I saw that. Okay, that's traumatic. This quarantine might be traumatic to you. Okay. Your roof leaks in your house. A backpack's getting much heavier. You move. Your son and daughter are on drugs. You have a job loss. A medical issue. Okay. Again, these might be different sizes for you. I'm just using them as examples. You have to file bankruptcy. Just simple worry and fear about anything. It's getting heavy, buddy.
Man,
You have a simple flat tire.
that's very simple.
Kind of a silly one, but could be true today. You're out of toilet paper. Okay.
What are those ones?
These are just a bunch of little rocks that will represent trauma. You put your own on there, okay? Put all those in there, would you, bud?
Like
Okay.
dog dying.
Right, like your
Cat
dog
dying.
dying, your cat dying, and those might be bigger for some.
And then death.
This big one is a death, right? A death in the family, a death of a loved one, a friend, whatever. I'm gonna just set this one down, okay, buddy? 'Cause I don't want you
Pretend it's in the backpack.
We'll
and
pretend it's in the
really,
backpack.
you know.
Okay. So again, it's not easier. It's easier said than done. Okay, to give all of this worry, this weight that's pulling me down, it's pulling me back. It's wanting me to sit back in the chair right now. It's easy to say just to give it to God. Okay. But the Bible calls us to do that. So give all your worries, your anxieties, and your cares to God. If you can do that, you'll have a much better, a freer life. You'll have a much better life. Thank you for your time.